Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be using the mixed media kit for a fun project, and this is the mixed media kit for February 2026. So with this kit you're going to get some fun things, and we're going to go ahead and use them first, and then we're going to create a mini album using the scrapbook kit. Okay, so to start off, we're going to go ahead and grab our canvas and the pink sapphire paint, and you're just going to go ahead and add some water to that. And I am just mixing that up, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to place that all over my canvas here. And as you can see, I'm stippling it on. I'm not really painting it on, I'm just stippling it on. And then I am just getting some more of the water, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm mixing that together. So I know it looks like a paste, but it's really water, and I'm just going to go ahead and place that all over. And I'm just stippling this all over my canvas. And you can use as much as you want. As you can see, I have a lot. So you're just going to stipple this all over your canvas. Okay, so next you're going to go ahead and pick one of the rice papers that you have in the mixed media kit, and you're just going to go ahead and tear off the bottom part of that. You want to measure it first on the canvas so you know where you're tearing at. And I cut mine, but it doesn't really matter if you cut it because we're going to tear this. So basically you're just going to tear it, measure it up to the canvas, and then we're going to kind of put some water, spritz some water, or do what I did and just put your finger in the water and put it on the rice paper, and then tear it away. And you're going to keep doing this until you get it to your desired measurements that you want for your canvas. So I tore like a little bit around the leaf area and a little bit inward, but this is your canvas and you do it the way that you would like it done. And if you don't want to tear it and you want to just have it evened out or a little bit leave a border around it, you can do that. Just cut it to have a border. You don't have to tear it. And you're just gonna keep tearing it like I'm doing here if you want to do that. Then once you get it to the desired area that you want, we're just going to place that on here just like that. And as you can see, I'm still kind of tearing a little bit off here and there. And you're just going to do that until you get it to however you want it. Once you're done tearing your paper, you're going to go ahead and you're going to ink the outside of it. So I just grabbed my Memento ink, which is the gray flannel, I believe, and you're just going to go ahead and you're going to ink all the way around that. There's two different ones. There's either London Fog or gray flannel, and I just love the gray on this because of the pink, and I think pink and gray are a really nice combination, and especially since our papers in the scrapbook kit are grays and pinks and purples, I thought this looked really nice. Once you're done inking the rice paper, you're going to go ahead and just grab that same color ink and ink around the edges of your canvas, just like I'm doing here. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place our rice paper on top of our canvas, and you're going to use that couture paste that we got with the white flexible paste, and you're just going to brush that on top of the canvas and stick your rice paper on top of that. And then wherever it didn't stick down, you're just going to go back over it, lift up those areas, and place some of your paste down on top of that canvas and your rice paper. Then you can also go back over on top of the edges and around the canvas area on top of the rice paper and just press in some of the paste. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and gesso our little chipboard key here. So you're just going to grab some gesso, and you can use either clear gesso or you can use the white gesso. It doesn't really matter because we are going to paint this with the sapphire or the pink sapphire perfect pigment that we got in the mixed media kit. So once you're done applying all the gesso on top of your chipboard key, you're going to just set this aside to dry. Now the next thing, we're going to apply some of the gilding flakes to the canvas, and I'm using the Stamperia Mixed Media Art. Is a medium for pigments, metal, and gilding effects. And I think this came in one of our kits before, but if you don't have that, I'll check and see if it's still available. If it is, I will put the link down below. So what you're going to do is kind of brush this on your canvas. You're going to brush the medium for pigments on there first. This is what's going to adhere down the gilding flakes, okay? And then you're going to go ahead, and once you have that on, then you're going to go ahead and grab a couple of pieces of your gilding flakes. Now they do come out kind of flaky and they're kind of long or chunky, and so just be careful. It's easy to just go ahead and grab a glob and then stick it on there. So I just want to let you know, just try to grab a little bit at a time if you can, and just work with a little bit at a time. And then if you want more on there, then you can add more. So I do kind of use my fingers. I try to use some of the utensils that I have available. But sometimes using my fingers, I don't mind them getting a little, messy or dirty. I know some people have a problem with that because they don't like the feel, like stickiness and stuff. And so just use what you have. If you have like some little spatulas or something like that, you can use those. And I placed a little bit of gilding flakes inside of my little lid, and then I kind of go around and just kind of break them up a little bit and then stick them down. Again, I'm using the metal and gilding glue, okay? Then placing that down first, and then placing the gilding flakes down after I'm done. Now, sometimes the gilding flakes will stick to your brush because it's got the glue on it, right? And then if you have like extra little gilding flakes on it, just go around and brush it off on top of your canvas there, right on top of there. It's not going to hurt anything. It actually adds a little bit of flakes to the top of the photo or the image, and it looks really, really pretty. And so you're just going to, like I'm doing here, just go around and see, I got a big old glob of gilding flakes right there. I'm kind of letting it sit there for a minute, and it's okay. It'll kind of break apart a little bit. If you have problems, just use your finger or use kind of something to just kind of scrape it, and sometimes the gilding flakes will break up, and so you can kind of spread them out a little bit, but it's not a problem. I mean, if it's just really a neat little embellishment, and I think it adds just a really pretty touch to your project. So again, I'm just going to keep going around my canvas on this using the gilding flakes and the medium for pigments. So now I'm done, and this is what it's going to look like, and I'm just cleaning up everything, and then we're going to get started on our next half of this project. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to place some of the pigment paint. Okay, you're going to add water to that, and you're just going to place the paint all over your chipboard key now that it's dried with the gesso on top. And you're just going to go ahead and paint this and place that right on top, and it looks so pretty. I absolutely love this color. It is just gorgeous, you guys. It's absolutely beautiful. Once your key is dried, you're going to add some gilding flakes to this as well. So again, you're going to go ahead and use that medium for pigments, and it is the glue for gilding flakes. And so you're just going to go ahead and add some of your gilding flakes on top of this, wherever you want a little bit of shine on here. And I just think it looks so gorgeous with this on here. Oh, so pretty. So you're just going to go ahead and keep doing that around your key. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to place down some flowers. So I'm grabbing the flowers from the scrapbook kit and I'm just placing those down. Now I am brushing on the Couture paint, the white flexible paste that we got, and you can use that to stick down your flowers. It acts as a glue adhesive as well, so you can definitely use that. And you can actually use that for your gilding flakes too, just so you know. But I like to use the other one, but you can use the Paint Couture white flexible paste for your gilding flakes. I wanted to add that. I forgot to mention that earlier. And here I'm just placing, because this dries clear, you're just going to go ahead and brush that on. And then I'm going to add some of these pretty flowers in there. And I'm just adding the paste on the back. You can also add your own adhesive if you want to. You don't have to use the paste. You can use whatever adhesive you want. And then here I'm just going to go ahead and add the flowers on here. And these flowers are so pretty. Now I just use the paste because, one, it's with the kit and it gives you another way to use some of your items that you get in the kit. So you don't have to use, your glue. You can use the paste to stick on your embellishments as well. So you can always use your glue and save your pastes for metals and things like that. And so if you saw the tag video that I just made some tags using some metals pieces that we got from the card kit, you'll see there that I added some metals on there, and I actually used the paste for that. So here I cut out some of the cut apart pieces, embellishments from the scrapbook kit, and I'm just adding these on top of the canvas. And I know it's kind of covering up a little bit. I didn't want to cover up the roses, but these gloves were so pretty, y'all, and I couldn't help myself. I had to use them. So I went ahead and stuck those on there. And then this candle, it was just so pretty. I just couldn't resist, you guys. So I went ahead and stuck some foam tape on the back of that, and just a few little pieces. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue down our key, and this is the chipboard key that we painted and added some gilding flakes on top of. And I'm using my glue, but you can use your glue paste or your paste as well that came in the mixed media kit. And you're just going to go ahead and set that down right on top of the flowers, and then I'm going to add the little candle right in the middle of the flowers and the gloves. And I did go ahead and put another row on top of my foam tape, so there's actually 2 layers of foam tape on top of there. And then we're going to go ahead and just stick that down just like that. And I just love how this turned out, you guys. It's so pretty. It's just so pretty. I just love it. And that is the finished canvas. Okay, next we're going to start on our mini album. And so to create this, you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 5 by 7 inches, and one is going to be a spine of 1.5 by 7. And so the pieces that you're going to cut out, you're going to use 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 paper. You're going to put tape down one side like I'm doing here, right on the edge, and then you're going to go ahead, and I use glue and tape. You can use glue or tape or both. And then I go ahead and place the second right on top of that other piece. So now what you're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to place down our chipboard pieces here in just a bit. Okay, and now you're going to go ahead and you're going to place your pieces down, okay, on your paper just like this. And you're going to have one side that is longer than the other, but we're going to cut that off. So you're going to I usually leave about 1 inch on my left and right side. So I'm just kind of maneuvering some of my items around. And then I go ahead and I kind of mark it with a pencil. If you've never made one before, this is the easiest way to do it. And this is kind of what I do. I just got in the habit of doing it. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure over 1 inch from that end and cut the rest off. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and place some tape on the back of my chipboard pieces, and then I'll be adding glue to this as well. Once you add your tape, you want to make sure that everything is burnished in really good. And next we're going to go ahead and we're going to put down our chipboard pieces now. So I'm just removing the tape from the back of my chipboard, and I'm going to add some glue to this, okay? And I'm just going to add my glue all over the back. And then where I marked on my paper, that's where I'm going to sit my chipboard pieces. And if you have trouble like I do, and sometimes you're crooked, you can go ahead and grab a ruler and just measure that. And I usually go down about 1 inch and go over 1 inch and then lay everything down. And because sometimes I don't know why I get crooked, you guys. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I just have, I don't know. My husband says I have crooked eyes. So I don't even hang pictures on our wall because they're always crooked. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so I go ahead and I'm going to place that down. Now I do leave about 1/8 of an inch from each other, about, I think it's about 1/8 of an or 1/4 of an inch from each other. And yeah, so it just depends on what look you want. I mean, I've heard people do both ways, whether they leave about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. So it's totally up to you. However you make your mini albums, that's what you'll do. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to place this down. And once you're done placing everything down, you're going to come back in and you're going to burnish the whole thing down. So you'll grab your little spatula, whatever, or your little thing that you use to burnish everything down, and you'll go ahead and just do that on the front and on the back. So next I grab my bone folder and I just go around my paper like I'm doing here, just to kind of add that crease and break up those paper fibers. So you'll go ahead and do that in between each and around each of the chipboard pieces. So, and then just bend that over. Now for me, it's easier to go ahead and fold everything in, which creates these little lines, right? And that's kind of a guide to help you know where to cut, so you can bevel in your edges and just cut right to that intersected area where your chipboard is. So that just makes it super easy, you guys. And so I've been doing that for a long time. And if you're new to making mini albums, that's how I do that. And but again, for those of you that are seasoned, I'm sure you've got it down pat and you know how to do it. So, and you'll just make your mini album however you would like. Next, you're going to go ahead and grab your glue and you're going to place it on the side and then on the end of the flaps. And then you'll just go ahead and you'll burnish those down. Now, if you want to, you can use your double back tape if you are more comfortable using that rather than glue. It's totally up to you. This is your book and you can make your album however you've been making it. So you're just going to fold in all the flaps, burnish all of them down, and glue them down. So, and then you're going to go ahead, and once you get all of your flaps done, in between the spine and the cover and the back cover, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get your bone folder and create those creases, okay? For your, and it's just 8, so your book is able to fold. Okay, so this is the inside cover of your book, and this measures at 11 by 6 and 5/8. And I put tape all the way around the perimeter of this, and I add my glue. Now you're going to add your glue to the middle part of this. I did not, but I want you to go ahead and add glue to the middle part, because what's going to happen is, I don't know why I skipped that part, but I did, and it's going to buckle. So so for you not to have that happen, because I had to go in and redo that part, so I had to end up tearing this off and then redo it and put glue on the inner side so it wouldn't buckle. And you're going to go ahead, and so you can see there it lifted a little bit. And so when I fold this in, after I go ahead and score in between my little lines there between the chipboard pieces, it does buckle, and you're going to go ahead and put glue. Next, we're going to go ahead and make some pages that are going to be 5 1/4 by 6 and 5/8, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch on the left hand side, and you're going to do 4 of these. So this is where I added in my pages, and I didn't go ahead and fix this part yet because my pages were going in crooked. I don't know why, but everything just seemed to be off on this book. And so I'm sharing a little bit of my mistakes with y'all so this doesn't happen to you. So first you want to go ahead and, like I said, place the glue on the inside of that cover so that way nothing buckles. And then, and it could have been that it was buckling and that's why the pages went in crooked. I don't know, but I do know that I set my pages in, and I then had to come in later and redo them. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to finish putting my pages in, and then I cover the book, and then I go back in and correct everything, because later on you'll see where I have the pages out of the book and I'm actually decorating each page individually, and then we set it inside of the book. So we'll get there in just a second. Okay, so here is where I cut all of the pattern paper for my book, and here is the top portion that I picked, and I just love this paper. It is so pretty, and I felt like this one looked really good for the top because it kind of goes with the golden leaf that we put on top of the canvas, and it's just beautiful. And like I said, this has like a pink kind of gray tone to it, and I really liked that. Thought it went well with the colors that we used for the canvas, and it really brings them out. So here I'm just going to go ahead and I'm burnishing that in, and then I'm going to cover the front end, or the back and the spine of our book. Again, you want to measure your pattern paper. You want to measure the book and before you cut out your pattern paper, so that way you know how much you need to cut out. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to place on our canvas piece onto the front of our book, and I went ahead and placed some double back tape along with some glue on there, and then I went ahead and glued that right on there. And it looks so pretty, you guys. I just love it. Okay, so this is one of the flaps that we are going to be decorating. There's two flaps, and they're both about 4 3/4 by 6 1/2, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch on the left hand side. Okay, and then the pockets are going to be 3 by 5 1/4, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch on the left side, the right side, and the bottom. So I went ahead and decorated the front of the pocket and then put the gilding flakes on top of this, and I think it turned out so pretty. And then for the next page, now this is one of the pages we actually do, and we're going to put some foam tape on the back of this. We're going to pop this up with I used chipboard pieces or cardboard pieces. You can use foam tape if you'd like. I just felt I had extra cardboard sitting around, and so I just went ahead and used that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to place some glue on the back of here. We're going to pop this up on top of our page, and then you can add gilding flakes and some other little items around this frame. And I just think it turned out really pretty. Again, we use the gilding flakes with the glue and or with the paste. One thing that I wanted to point out that I do now, your little flowers or that you get in this kit have a wide rim around it, a border, right? And I don't like the really thick white border around some of my embellishments, so I go ahead and I cut that border down. And the other items that you get that are the cut aparts embellishments, you'll go ahead and I cut those down too. Now here is the you'll see the feather here and some other items that I pick out that have a really thick white border around it. And I'll go ahead and like I said, I'll trim that off and just cut it down just a smidge, because I'm not a big fan of the big white border, but that's just me. I don't know why. I just don't really care for it. And but it doesn't, some people don't mind it, and but it's totally, your preference. So here I'm just grabbing some of the embellishments and I'm just sticking them on top of our little page here. And then now we're going to do the gilding flakes, and we're just going to go ahead and glue those on. Now I do use a craft mat under here, and I should have done that with a couple of the other pieces that I did, but I forgot and I got in a hurry. And so some of the gilding flakes actually stuck to my desk, but I just took a sponge with, one of the scrubby sponges, and I just, wet it down and with soap and water and then scrubbed my desk, and it came right off. And we're done. Now we are going to be adding some pages, and remember I told you that I went ahead and redid my base of the inside cover, and so I went ahead and did that. And then I went ahead and stuck the pages, I'm sticking the pages back inside. And so here I have this page where they're all papered and everything. All we have to do is just decorate them. And I went ahead and added some of the double back tape to those, and then I'm going to add some glue. Now the glue, when I add the double back tape and the glue just basically helps me and gives me some time to maneuver that in there, so that way it sticks down really good. And if you live in a high humidity area, sometimes it's best to use both, because sometimes your books may come apart, and this just helps adhere them a little bit better. So here I am just taking off the back of the tape, adding the glue, and then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to glue this down. So just going to glue that right down next to our other page. And again, these all have a 1/2 inch on them that we scored on the pages, so they'll go in just like that. And there are our pages. So yeah, and then we have one more page, and actually I think I ended up having that as a flap. So there are 3 pages in the middle, and then there's 2 flaps. So yeah, so we do that. So here I wanted to just let you know that sometimes it's best to place down your flaps before you cover the inside of your, your book or wherever you're going to put flaps. That way your paper covers the ½ inch that we scored. So that way you don't have to place another piece over that little ½ inch flap. Although sometimes, like for me, I don't know where I'm going to sit my flaps sometimes. So sometimes I'll go back in and I will, you can't see the ½ inch little gusset showing, and I'll go ahead and cover that with another piece of paper that is like a scrap piece or something like that. But sometimes it's best, if you know where you want your flaps, to just go ahead and put those down and then cover like I'm covering that here. And then we'll make the same little flap for the back of the book as well. So here I'm going to go ahead and stick that little piece inside there, and that is going to be the cover for the inside of the book. And then we're going to go ahead and do the back. Okay, so here I wanted to share with you, I took some of the lace that was from the kit, and I went ahead and placed about, I think it's maybe a ½ inch of the tape, double back tape down, and I went ahead and placed that down on that page, and then went ahead and used some of the lace from the scrapbook kit to just make a little border on there, and I thought it was like a really nice piece to have on there. And again, this is a book that you can do whatever you want with. If you have lace or other trim that you want to use, you can use that. And then here is where I'm covering the gussets inside of the book. You'll go ahead and they should be, let's see, a ½ inch, or maybe a little less than a ½ inch. So you'll go ahead and just cover those up, and that way it just makes the book look a little bit more finished. Now for this pocket, I did a 5 by 3¼ and I scored on the left, right, and at the bottom of this piece at a ½ inch. And you can do that as well, and you can do that for both of the pockets, for the front flap and the back flap. Okay, and then you're going to cut at that intersecting score line to form your pocket, and you're going to go ahead and fold in those flaps on the bottom and on the sides and burnish those down. And then you're going to go ahead and just place glue on those ½ inch flaps and glue that down, just like I'm doing here. And then you're going to go ahead and cover that. And you'll just go ahead and cover that however you want, whether you want it to have a border around it, or if you want the whole thing covered. And there you go. So now your pocket is done. And again, you're going to do that for the front flap and the back flap. And then you're going to go ahead and decorate those. Make sure you burnish everything down so everything is nice and adhered. Now we're going to go ahead and decorate this pocket. And for this pocket, I used a few different things. I couldn't decide what I really wanted to use. So at first I wanted to use both of those perfume bottles, and then I added the book and some other little things, and I just couldn't make up my mind what I wanted. So there's a lot to pick from, you guys, and it's just a really, really fun paper collection. So here I'm just gluing down what I have, and I did cut a slit in that flower so that way it would overlap on top of the book in the fan. So it actually lays behind the fan. So here's the fan, and I'm just going to stick that in there. And then I go ahead and lay that, right behind the fan. And the flower did stick out a little bit, so I went ahead and cut that part off. Again, I'm just cutting the border of the flowers because they're a little thick. And then we're going to go ahead and cover the back side of this flap. Then I'm going to add some double back tape to that, burnish that in really good, peel that off, and then add my glue. And then we're going to go ahead and put that on the back of the book. So basically it's on the back cover, inside cover, and we're going to go ahead and glue that down. And then we're going to go ahead and cover the inside of that area. So here's the paper that I'm going to use. I just love the purple perfume bottles. Oh, they're so pretty. And then what I decided to use was bring in some of that golden trim that we got in the scrapbook kit. And this trim I love. I love this trim. You get a lot of it and it lasts you for a long time. So yeah, so I went ahead and covered or put that on as a border for the inside of the cover there. And I also placed it in the front as well. So it's just so pretty. Now you can do every page if you want to. I didn't do that, but you are more than welcome to do that if you choose to. I just thought it looked so pretty like that. And it just adds a splash of that gold in there that we're going to be adding to each of the pages and to the embellishments. So this part, what I did is these are 2 pages that have the purple pattern on it, and I went ahead and grabbed the doily and then folded it down and then went ahead and placed these in each of the corners, catty corner from each other. And so you're going to go ahead and do that. And I just thought this was a really pretty way to use your doily and with the scrapbook paper. And then plus I thought it looked really good with this pattern because the pattern kind of looks like a doily as well. So here I'm just going to go ahead and to mark it, I just marked it with my finger, and I just slid my finger down and just kind of bent it around the corner of the page. And so I just kind of did that. I just thought that this looked really pretty. So I went ahead and just stuck that on there and lined it up. And there you go. So you're going to do that with this page and then the next page as well. So here's this page, and this time I'm doing the opposite sides. So again, because it looked like a doily, I just thought it looked pretty. Okay, so I had these fun frames in here and they're so pretty and I wanted to use them all. But we used a few of them. And I went ahead and placed these on top of the couple of the pages, and I went ahead and put foam tape on the back of them just to give them a lift in case you want to like place or slide something underneath it on the inside or something. You know, you could do that with your paper flowers or your flowers that you have in the kit. And so I just thought that these were so pretty. And so okay, so the next thing I did is I had these little frames and I went ahead and grabbed a punch from my stash that has a pretty edge on these, and I went ahead and punched all 4 corners on them. And then I placed foam tape on the back of these, and so that way they would lift, and that way I could slide like flowers or something underneath the frame if I wanted to put something inside. So that way it would give it kind of like a 3D effect. And I went ahead and placed 3 frames, one on each page, that had flowers on them, and kind of, you know, wanted to frame up those flowers. Next, we're going to make some little booklets, and the booklets here are 8 by 4. You're going to go ahead and score at 3 and 7/8 at 4, and then 4 and 1/8. And then that gives you enough little, a rounded spine on these booklets for you to add some paper inside, because they're going to be little note booklets. And so we're going to go ahead, and I cut up some copy paper and fold those in half, and you're going to go ahead and punch holes in those as well. And then you're going to go ahead and sew this just like you would a journal or whatever, if you're making a journal, you're just going to go ahead and sew these together just like that. And they're just smaller, and I thought that it was such a good idea to have these inside of our little booklet. And my granddaughter was in here with me because I was showing her how to make one, and she thought that it was a really neat idea. So I made 2 of these, and so you'll go ahead and you'll make 2 of these. One for the pages that we stuck the doilies on, that's where these are going to go. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to place this on those pages. So the next thing we're going to do is put glue on the back of these, and you're going to go ahead and adhere them down to the page that has the doilies on them. And I went ahead and papered the inside and then used one of the frames for the outside of the cover. And I just thought that these were really nice. And then I went ahead and also used some seam binding that I had in my stash for the closures. Now, one thing I didn't show was that you're going to want to place your seam binding on the back of your booklet before you glue it down for one side, and then the other seam binding or ribbon, whichever you choose, is going to go on the inside of that, so that way before you put the cover on the inside of your booklet. And then here I'm just trimming off the excess paper that I had from the cover that I placed on the inside. So that's all I'm doing here, and we're pretty much done. And oh my gosh, this turned out so cute. And I just think that these little booklets are such a great addition. So you can write little notes, or you can journal. You could even add little pictures if you want to inside. So here is the second booklet that we're going to do, and here is the seam binding, and I'm just adding that to the back of the book. And then we're going to go ahead and glue this onto the page. So just going to add it just like that. And then you're going to go ahead and on the inside of that, you're going to go ahead and glue down the other part of the closure. So here is the other part of that trim, just gluing that to the inside of that booklet. And then you're going to cover the inside of the booklet, and then you can go ahead and decorate the little picture frame. So here I'm using one of the leaves that are inside of the kit, and these leaves are so pretty, and they have like glitter, purple glitter on them. And then I went ahead and added some of the cutter part items that I cut out. And again, I didn't leave a whole lot of a border on these. These are the ones that are on the single pages, and you can cut these out. So they are so pretty. And I went ahead and used some of the paper flowers as well. So for this next section, I'm going to be decorating some of the pages and the frames, and so I'm just going to go ahead and play some music for you. And because I know some of you like to watch the layering part and the decorating part, and so I'm just going to go ahead and play some music and do kind of like a little montage of everything that I'm doing. We are done with our book, and so on the cover we did this beautiful canvas from the mixed media kit using the chipboard key that comes in the scrapbook kit. And then we covered the book with the scrapbook paper, and we used some of the cut aparts and little embellishments that come in the kit, as well as the flowers. Now the gold is the gold leaf that comes in the mixed media kit. It is the gilding flakes, and then you're just going to use your glue to go ahead and place those on wherever you want those. And then we also used the rice paper, which is stuck on top of the canvas. So we used the paint from the mixed media kit, which is the Perfect Pigments Paint Couture Pink Sapphire. And so we used that as well. So we open this up. Now this little book can be for photos. It can be for a little journal, whatever you want it for. I just kind of thought just using all of the elements in the scrapbook kit would be super cute no matter how it turned out. You can stick some little photos in here, you can journal in here, you can do whatever you would like. So here we made a little pocket using some of the gilding flakes and a lot of the little cut aparts. And so I used those on top of the pocket, just kind of layered them up, and I just think that turned out so pretty. And I'm going to bring this up so you can see it, and it definitely shines, you guys. How shiny that is. It's so pretty. And then we also used this gold rope that comes in the kit, and then I put little mats in here and just kind of stuck them in here for whatever, and photos, or whatever you want to do. Here, this is a flap, so it opens up and you have two areas for a photo, or if you want to journal, stick something on there, whatever you want to do. And then here on this page we went ahead and did a frame, popped it up, and also added some of the little flowers, the gilding flakes, some of the little embellishments that are in the kit. I just thought that this was such a super cute way to use a lot of the items in your scrapbook kit. Here on this side, we also did another little frame. I added in some of the cut apart flowers that are in the kit, and then the gilding flakes again all over. And we did pop up this frame, so it's so cute. I just love those frames. They're so pretty. This one here again is another frame that we went ahead and did some more of the gilding flakes along with the cut apart flowers, the little embellishment, the key, and that little envelope. And then here is that leaf. Now this is the Prima leaf that you get in your kit, and I just went ahead and placed that on top of there. Here is one of the little sentiments. It says, "Write me a letter," and I thought that was super cute. So I added this little feather quill and a little envelope, and then the little notes here. So cute. So this here is actually a little notepad, and so this just opens up like this, and we went ahead and sewed this together so you can write little notes in here, or you can do whatever, maybe stick a picture in here, whatever you want to do. And it is glued to the inside of that page, so all you do is just tie that tight, and there we go. And then here on this side, it's another frame with another flower, and it just looks so pretty just by itself. I didn't want to add anything else on it except the gilding flakes. So here is another little notebook we used again one of those little leaves, and let's see. So here on this page, again, this used another one of the little leaves on top of this little notebook that we sewed together, and it is adhered down to this page. And then I used the gilding flakes along with, again, some of the other little cut aparts that are inside of the kit. And I just think that that gilding flake makes it look so pretty right? And then I added this little sentiment, live the life you love and love the life you live. And again, this just opens up like this, and you can go ahead and you can write. Now I just did some copy paper. I cut these down to fit inside of the little notebook, and but you can make this as big as you want, or if you want to do something else, you can do something else. But I just thought that this was such a cute idea. That way your little notebook can stay in here and you can just write whenever you want. I just thought that was super cute. For our last page here, you have another little frame, and you have, this is popped up, or it's cut out. So I went ahead and cut out another flower, and then went ahead and stuck that down, popped it up a little bit so it kind of looks 3D, and it's inside of the frame. And then we have this flower on the background, and it has the gilding leaf around it. And then here, this is the kind of the same thing that we did in the front, where on the back end of this book, it has a little flap, and it has a little pocket where you can stick some of your little mats. And I just love this pink. It's so pretty. I just love that. And then I went ahead and added, again, the little cut apart pieces, along with some of the gilding flakes on there. We have the key, we have a book, we have a little bottle of perfume, some flowers, the fan. So pretty. It just opens up like this. And then again, I used the gold rope right here on either side. And it just closes like this, and it is done. You guys, this was such a fun project, and I absolutely had a good time creating this. So I hope that you liked the tutorial. Take care, and I will be talking to you soon. I have all the links down below to the Trace Jolie shop. Bye! Thanks for joining me today, y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and head on over to Trace Jolie to check out their shop. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment, and join me Friday nights at 4:30 Central Time.